Hey, Joan.
Yes, sir.
I can't wait for 7:35. You know who's going to be here at the somewhat dusty studio here?
President Trump.
No. Stuart McWhorter.
Close.
Deputy Governor and Commissioner of Economic and Community Development. When I was on vacation, I'm fascinated by this stuff. Latest on this $6.6 billion deal between the U.S. and the South Korean-based Korea Zinc that was going to bring huge amount of money to Tennessee. So he's going to be here to talk about that and, deals from 2025, kind of reflecting back on 2025. And more importantly, what is coming up in 2026. So looking forward to talking to Stuart McWhorter. Coming up at 7:35 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, don't forget, you can always watch the radio show online if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on X, and Rumble, 99.7 WTN.com. All of those things, you can watch the radio show. And from what I understand, it's a thrilling exercise. Let's see here. It's my bad. I shouldn't say that. You know what? People love Joan Jones.
Oh, stop.
And people love Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And people comment on my hats. 98 Minnesota mayors have now warned Tim Walz and the people in charge that locally, the fiscal policies are hurting the cities, residents, and local budgets. So, they have now misplaced, is it $9 billion? Not misplaced. They have lost to fraud $9 billion. Now, apparently, that could be as high as $18 billion. I mean, this is insanity. Now, I've been sort of away from the daily grind of this story and all that it entails. But over the last couple of days, $18 billion has simply disappeared. Now, everybody knows where it went, the Somalians. But what all this means is that they could have a multi-billion-dollar deficit heading into the year 2028. So that's what all these 98. Hey, can you look up for me how many mayors are in Minnesota? I'd be willing to bet, Joan, there's 99 mayors in Minnesota and one mayor in the state of Minnesota did not sign on to this letter, and it would be the mayor of Minneapolis, who had to eat that goat meat. Remember that? Maybe still recovering from that. Moving right along. So we all know what has happened in Minnesota. You got the answer, Sam? How many mayors are in Minnesota? He's Googling very quickly.
Because it's all broken down by, city size.
Oh, too bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, start counting. But we all know what happened in Minnesota. We have the very powerful and corrupt Somalian community in the state, and they've been fraudulently ripping off the state's taxpayers for years, both immigration fraud and fraud in the social services program. Investigators now say that the fraud could reach somewhere between $9 billion and $18 billion in 14 programs. They're going back, and it's almost like every time they pick up a rock, there's more hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud that they find. I don't even know if they realize what they've uncovered, the gravity of what these Somalis in Minnesota have been doing in ripping off the taxpayers in Minnesota. I would be curious to know how the residents of Minnesota, the Americans in Minnesota, I would love to know how they feel about all of this. By the way, as you know, these programs include housing, programs for autistic children and child nutrition, among others. And so as all of this was going on, this is one of the updates to the story. Back in 2022, a speech by none other than Tim Walz has been uncovered and hit the internet last night, where he was talking about how he is so appreciative, Tim Walz, governor, so appreciative of the Somalian community in Minnesota.
We know there is no separating Minnesota of who we are from our Somali brothers and sisters. It is such a part of our It is part of who we are.
All right, so there he is saying it's who we are, doing all that we can to support our brothers and sisters of Somalia. So that is, again, a new video that has surfaced of Tim Walz. As all of this is going on, he was out there courting their incredibly powerful vote. Because, this is all about, a couple of things, fraud, but also power in politics. Because as I've explained before, these Somalians or Somalis, they are, as a group, they're powerful. Their vote. Because if you don't get the Somali vote in Minneapolis, you're not going to get Minneapolis. And if you don't get Minneapolis, then you're not going to win the state of Minnesota. And by the way, Tim Walz is running for re-election. You think the Democrats in Minnesota will vote him in yet again? I bet you they will. They're just that dumb. So he was all about, Tim Walz in this speech, he was all about giving them everything that he could to get those votes and keep his power.
It's such a good part of who we are in every aspect of our life. And the opportunity that we have in Minnesota, as we said, to make sure there is no reason that every single person in Minnesota has to go to bed hungry at night. We have the ability to feed everyone, to make sure every child goes to school. There's no reason to have lunch tickets and lunch counters and lunch money and that. We have the ability to provide universal meals for breakfast and lunch to every single Minnesotan.
So there you have Tim Walz, and he is saying, "Oh, we could just feed everybody. There's no reason why anybody should, take responsibility for themselves and their families. No, we can go ahead and feed everybody." Out there ensuring in 2022 that these Somalians are well fed and well taken care of. I don't know why they had to do the, go through the trouble of all the fraudulent programs when state of Minnesota will just take care of everything that they could possibly need. Why did they have to go through all the fraud in the first place? These comments, by the way, not aging well. 81%, because you just heard him say, we can feed the Somalians and we can help all the Somalians with housing and everything. And so those comments, again, not aging well. 81% of Somalian immigrants are on some sort of welfare benefit. 81%. 89% of Somalian immigrants with kids are also on some sort of benefits. And so, of course, we're talking about food stamps and Medicaid and cash welfare and the rest. All the while, the cities are going under and the mayors are panicking. In that letter to state lawmakers and Governor Tim Walz, the 98 mayors expressing concern and frustration said the state was slipping in national economic rankings. Here's what they say. Fraud, unchecked spending, and inconsistent fiscal management in St. Paul have trickled down to our cities, reducing our capacity to plan responsibly, maintain infrastructure, hire and retain employees, and sustain core services without overburdening local taxpayers. The letter states, cities across the state now face workforce shortages, slowed business investment, rising operational and construction costs, and families choosing to leave Minnesota altogether. In addition, the mayors noted potential property tax increases as a result of unfunded state mandates and costs that force cities to shift the burden to residents and businesses, but certainly not the Somalis.
And the Democrats thought Tim Walz and Kamala Harris could save the country.
Oh, this makes them look even worse, if it's possible. By the way, somebody called this Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
kind
it
of
is.
So that's what it is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but Murphy Show took all the fun out of me saying it's Friday Eve on Thursdays. So, because he said he'd kick a puppy if somebody did that.
Oh, yeah.
So remember that whole thing?
I do.
So
yeah.
it took all the wind out of my sails when I'd come on Thursday and say it was Friday Eve.
But did he specify the puppy?
No, because there are some dogs I believe that deserve to be kicked. I'm totally kidding.
There's some dogs that could take it and then bite back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Kick a pit bull, they'll take your foot off. Moving right along.
Way to wade into that argument, Dan.
What? I didn't say anything. It's moving right along. And now the pit bull people are going to be mad at me.
Yeah.
Listen,
Good job, Dan. Good.
Have I ever told you the story? The first talk radio topic I ever did was pit bulls.
Oh, you did not.
And it was the last time I ever talked about pit bulls. Lord, have mercy. Anyway, but we are staying with the Somali-sota, which is what we're talking about with Tim Walz, Governor Tim Walz from the state of Minnesota. And here's more from that Didn't Age Well speech from 2022.
There's no reason we shouldn't be able to house every Minnesotan with investments to make sure that they're culturally appropriate ways that we can make sure we lend and have.
Yeah, don't you just love the idiocy and the wokeness of the housing? Because remember, he not only wants to give the Somalis housing, but they've also got to be culturally appropriate.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
What does that mean? They raise goats to eat in their back and front yard?
It's crazy.
Was that racist? I don't think that's racist. They do. They eat goat meat. That was the whole thing. Jacob Fry, right? The Minneapolis
mayor. You don't
mayor.
have to get his name right.
No, I don't care about his name. Anyway, yeah. So now we got it. So now in order, the people of Minnesota, not only do they have to pay for their housing, but they've also got to do it in a culturally appropriate way. Good Lord.
There's no reason we shouldn't be able to house every Minnesotan with investments to make sure that they're culturally appropriate ways that we can make sure we lend and have the ability to build housing to transfer wealth down through generationally. And there's absolutely no reason that anyone in Minnesota, especially our children, shouldn't have the option for affordable quality health care. We have the best providers in the world, and we have the capacity to do that.
This dude he is really a socialist. Like, if you listen to everything that he said, food will be paid for by the government. Housing will be paid for by the government. And every person in Minnesota will be on government single-payer medical benefits. I mean,
he's a disaster.
He is an absolute... I don't know who he's talking to, but, yay. Let's go do socialism. Meantime, we got all these 98 Can you imagine the amount of fraud in Minnesota if they actually went full bore socialism? I mean, good Lord.
Thank our friends in the legislature. I know Steve Elkins is here and others. We have a budget that reflects those values. We have a budget that reflects the care that you see in this room and the sense of community. So I, along with you, as I'm thinking and reflecting on what kind of world do we want to live in, I'm just grateful that there's folks here that are trying to make that world a reality.
Yeah, sure. Make that world a reality. Remember, of course, those Somalis are sending that money back to Somalia. It ends up in the coffers of al-Shabaab. I told you about that a couple of weeks ago. What's crazy about this video is he is appraising the Somali fraudsters. He knows at the time of this speech, 2022, right? He knows at the time of this speech that the fraud is going on because this is the time, Joan, where 480 Minnesota DHS staffers accused Walz of retaliation when they spoke up about the fraud. Ugh. So he knew this was going on at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And these Somalis were living the high life. Do you know what I'd love to do? Do you guys remember, what was the lifestyles of the rich and famous?
Good Charlotte.
If anybody knows how to do an AI version of lifestyles of the rich and famous and portray the average Somalian living or the Somali living in Minnesota, where you've got that dude with the British accent or whatever, and they've got, private lakefront villas and lakefront property and first-class plane tickets and fancy cars and homes and the rest of it. As I'm looking at this segment, I'm thinking, oh, if I only could use AI to do, an example of lifestyles of the rich and famous and the Somalis living the high life in Minnesota off the taxpayer's dime. Oh, I'd be mad if I were in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Fox News, by the way, and I'm not going to go on and on about this, but apparently I'm going to. Fox News actually had a segment where they're able to pinpoint exactly how culpable Tim Walz, the Minnesota AG Keith Ellison, he is, again, the state's attorney general, and Ilhan Omar are in all of this because not only did they know that this was going on, but they got in the way of investigations and complaints.
Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison. We see a web of connections between them and those directly involved in the fraud. For example, Ilhan Omar alleged enabling introducing the 2020 Meals Act, which was ultimately subject to fraud. Held a campaign victory party at the Safari restaurant. That's where one of the men who run that restaurant has associations to the convicted individuals. And then there's Tim Walz. House Oversight Investigation role in his role as governor. Or Keith Ellison, the Attorney General. His job is to enforce the law in Minnesota, but instead he's getting donations after meeting with the Feeding Our Future representatives. The Feeding Our Future, the biggest known yet part of this entire theft ring.
Yeah, so Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, meets with the higher-ups in the organization that was where they found the most fraud. He meets with them, and then all of a sudden, he's getting campaign donations from this organization that he clearly chose not to investigate. Gotta love the Democrats, man. I just tell you. Between Gavin Newsom, Tim Walz, the idiocy of Kamala Harris, of course, Joe Biden, it is stunning that people would ever vote for this group again. This sounds like an 80s band. Is it?
Def Leppard.
No, it's not. Oh. Joan's laughing at
Dan Mandis.
Joan's laughing at how easily I'm impressed with Def Leppard.
Yeah.
Bring it up. Bring it up. Man, I love Def Leppard. Joan, you familiar with Def Leppard?
Oh, yeah. I listen to them all the time.
See, this is
one of
Joan.
my favorites.
This is Joan
rock out.
lying.
Yeah.
Actually.
Rocket Man.
No, that's Elton John.
Oh, sorry.
All right, moving right along.
Yeah.
But you know what?
It sounds lovely, though. I give it that.
Do you know what I like, though? Is that Stuart McWhorter, Deputy Governor and Commissioner of Economic and Community Development, when Sam said it was Def Leppard, Stuart McWhorter started, banging his head like he's all about Def Leppard like me. Are you like a headbanger from way back?
I am. I love Def Leppard.
Look at that.
Yeah.
All new level of respect.
Armageddon was a good album.
Armageddon was a good album. And really, Armageddon?
Yeah. It was kind of the new, the drummer, he lost his arm.
Sure.
And they had to, kind of tech up their music because he was, a one-armed drummer. And they really changed their...
Can you recite Pour Some Sugar on Me?
No, I can't recite. I'm not going to recite that.
Come on, man.
It's a great song,
Walk
though.
This Way. What?
You and me, babe. Hey, hey. Okay, this is not what you wanted to do.
That would have been, if I'd been a stripper, that would have been my song of choice.
Okay, moving right along.
Oh, my gosh. Always goes right down the hole with you
He
guys.
does. What is wrong with you? We got Stuart McWhorter here, and you're throwing down stripper stuff. All right, now we did ask. This was great, Joan. So I asked Stuart McWhorter. All right, Stuart.
Yeah.
Give me your favorite Christmas song, and he was stumped. He couldn't come up with one. So then I asked him, what is your favorite band? And it was Van Halen. So then. We couldn't find Van Halen that had ever actually done a Christmas song. However, Sammy Hagar has done a Christmas song. And by the way, another bonding moment between Stuart McWhorter and I is he likes the Sammy. This might be controversial.
Could be.
So if you ever run for public office and you have to be voted in,
yeah.
the David Lee Roth fans might come after you. But
it could be.
He and I both agree that Sammy Hagar era of Van Halen, otherwise known as Van Hagar,
right,
was the best iteration of Van Halen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Stop it, Joan. Just stop it. She likes to try to kiss my butt sometimes.
It's Christmas.
It is Christmas. So let's play. This is Sammy Hagar's very popular original Christmas song. It is called Santa's Going South for Christmas. And it was released. He debuted this in 2010. Apparently, there is a Toby Keith version as well in 2011. I guess I've never heard this, so Sam, go ahead and play this.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah.
I like it. All right. So that's yours.
I love that.
So can I ask you a personal question? Take that down. So can I ask you, like,
Sure.
so you and I are the same age, 57.
Yep.
Right? Clearly, you like the headbang and stuff, too.
Yeah.
Did you ever have long hair like I did?
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Okay.
I had wings, though. I had, like whatever, parted down the middle, hair going
yeah?
back. Yeah.
Okay.
That was kind of a thing with the members-only jacket. Kind of cool thing.
I had members only and the
Yeah.
little alligator thing
Yeah.
going on here. I forget what those were called.
The visuals you're giving all of us, guys. Whew.
So I had, of course, hair down to the middle of my back.
Okay.
And I will admit, Joan, that I did very much look like Axl Rose because I had the beard rocking too.
Well,
And then look what happened.
then that
completely,
happened. Age.
completely and totally bald.
Well, I was Ace Frehley for Halloween one.
Were you
yeah,
really
and I
with
had
the whole makeup and
I had
everything?
the whole thing,
You
man.
did
I
not.
wish I had pictures. I know I do somewhere.
How could, I was going to say you have to have pictures. of that.
I looked just like Ace Frehley.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure. Which one was he? Was he the
Star.
He was
the star child or whatever?
Yeah, he was the
Okay.
star guy. He had the star.
Very good. Have you heard, just real quickly, then we'll get down to business, but you being such a Van Halen fan, have you heard David Lee Roth try to sing lately?
I haven't.
Man,
That'd be great.
go if you go to YouTube.
Yeah.
This is what I do in my spare time. Is I go to try to decipher David Lee Roth singing on stage in Las Vegas. It is not a pretty sight. All right, Stuart McWhorter, Deputy Governor and Commissioner of Economic and Community Development. You've had a huge year.
It's been a great year.
It seems to me. So the latest, and this came down when I was on vacation, but give me the lowdown on this $6.6 billion deal between the U.S. and this South Korea-based Korea Zinc. I know it's a deal with America, but really, I mean, this brings a lot of money to Tennessee.
It does. Yeah, we're really excited about this project. So, if you remember, we talked about this last time I was in, but the governor and I were in Asia in October, and we were in Taiwan, Korea, and Japan, and we actually had a meeting with Korea Zinc, and they were sharing their plans to be in the U.S. and to set up a manufacturing facility in the U.S. And so we were one of many states competing for it, and it moved fast because, as you know, and you can read articles about it, the U.S. Government and Korea Zinc and Korea were all part of this trade deal that they did. And so fast forward, they chose Tennessee. They're going to set up a production facility in Clarksville, and then there's actually another facility in Smith County, which is a great win for us because Smith County doesn't get projects such as this. And these are high-wage, high-paying jobs. But it's a smeltering plant, so they're going to basically be bringing a lot of the the raw material into the facility. It's a high production facility for non-ferrous metals and and certain kind of strategic metals that are really important. Basically it's competition with China. China owns 80-90% of the market here.
Yeah.
With these rare earth minerals, and this is a big play of the U.S. government, and Tennessee gets to play a part of this.
Have you found that President Trump is a good partner with Tennessee in trying to bring these companies here to Tennessee? Because I know that that his archenemy is, and our archenemy, in my opinion, one of them is China.
Right. Yeah, I think the Trump administration's been a great partner to our state. We have, obviously, the governor goes to D.C. often, speaks with the White House often. They know the Trump administration knows that Tennessee is the best state for business. And, we're very aggressive with projects such as this. I mean, we compete with a lot of states, particularly in the Southeast, but we see ourselves as a state that can lead the nation in terms of projects like Korea Zinc, and that, both the company and the federal government saw Tennessee as a great place to land this project. $6.6 billion capital investment. That's the largest single project announced by the state of Tennessee ever. I think it's great. And so Smith County, just focus on that for a minute, because I'm fascinated by this stuff. So is this a plant that has already been built or is going to be built? It's a plant. So in Smith County, there's actually a mine there, and that's been in operation, in and out of operation for a while. And part of the deal is Korea Zinc identified a company up in Clarksville called Nyerstar, and they are part of this project, and they have mines, around the state. There's other mines as well. But interestingly, Korea Zinc is going to import a lot of the raw material into this facility. This is going to be a processing facility mostly. It is mining, but it's mostly processing to the tune of like 500,000 tons of this stuff annually, which is, like 10x to what they've done before.
So I'm really curious. They're going to send all of this imported material into Tennessee. And it's more cost efficient for them to do it here than, I'm trying to figure out what's in it for them.
Well, this is not, in terms of the specifics of their business plan. I don't have privy information. I don't really know, but this is the world versus China, and when you think about the amount of rare earth material that China basically owns and has, and that's why we're doing this, because as we see down the road, if we're not competitive and find ways to produce this ourselves, a lot of this is around aerospace and defense, semiconductors is big play. A lot of, around semiconductors, we have to be producing a lot of the semiconductors ourselves and manufacturing those. And that's just that's not a Tennessee. It could happen in Tennessee, but really this is about the U.S. having the ability to manufacture very critical components to be competitive. And, from a national security perspective, I think this is why it's so important. So we're excited about it. I think we're going to see likely more of these down the road. If you follow what's going on in D.C. with tariffs and these trade deals and what the U.S. wants to do, they want these, obviously. Korea Zinc is an example of the projects they want to be in the United States. We feel Tennessee is going to be just in a as good a spot or better than most states to compete for these projects.
The battle with AI and the semiconductors and all of that, how do we as a state put ourselves in that position? Is it to attract that business? Is it like regulatory? Is it, the things that we build? I mean, how does that work?
So I think it's a number of things. Power, having access to power is a big deal. When you think about AI and the amount of power required to power up these data centers, as an example, and we talked about this before, is TVA is our power provider in the state and a great partner of ours, and we're actually very fortunate. I think the state of Tennessee is very fortunate to have TVA as a power partner, power provider. But you have to have access to power. So what does that mean? So you have to think about the new technologies that are out there, whether it's nuclear and new nuclear, which we've talked about, or other types of advanced power generation type opportunities. Oak Ridge National Labs and Oak Ridge is a key asset for the state of Tennessee because of the Manhattan Project and all the things happening there. That's a big deal. You think about TVA and their ability to power up. And, again, think about the generation of power. And then the last thing is, I think, super important here is just workforce. And I think part of what's happened in Tennessee over the last 7 years under Governor Lee is investing in our workforce, investing in the technical skills and the trades, making sure that when companies come to our state, they know they have access to a workforce that's skilled and readied. And that's, I think, really extremely valuable for us to be able to offer that in these projects, whether they're coming here for the first time or a company that's here expanding. They need to know that they have access to that workforce.
Do you think the Tennessee Promise is something that has really helped cultivate a workforce here in the volunteer state?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Tennessee Promise has been a great program for the state of Tennessee. It's giving access to families and individuals that may not have that otherwise. People who come here, whether it's families or whether it's CEOs of companies that are looking to come to our state, recognize that as a key component to their decisions. So yeah, it's worked well, and I think we were one of the first states to do that, and other states now are trying to figure out how they can offer something similar. They see that as a real win for their states, just like it has in Tennessee.
I wonder, and I wish there was a way to find the data, and maybe you have it, but how many families and how many people have been sort of lifted out of poverty thanks to the technical training, the free technical training that the Tennessee Promise offers Tennesseans? Do you have that?
I don't have the data on that.
I'm such a fan of that because I don't want to get into this argument or discussion, but I'm somewhat anti-college. I love the skills, the trades, and all that kind of stuff because I think that AI is taking a lot of the jobs that college graduates have and so forth. Yeah. And so I'm just curious if somewhere within, Tennessee, is there a stat that we can share of the success?
We could definitely get you some information on that. I know the data is there. I will say that this year, this county, we talked about how great a year 2025's been. I mean, of all the projects we've announced, we call them high wage, high skilled jobs, and these are paying hourly wage above the county median wage, and we're at 100% this year. We've all the projects we've announced have been at the wage that the companies have agreed to, or is above the county median wage, which is a big deal. And what that also means is that you talk about technical trades. These jobs of tomorrow are in a lot of ways you're learning how to operate automation and robotics, and it's taking that trade to a different level, and you're learning on the job. You've got employers investing in you, so you're not having to go to a 4-year institution and go in some cases into debt, to get that degree. You're learning on the job. So you think about the opportunities that a lot of individuals now have, and it's not just these, sort of low wage manufacturing jobs. They're out there because you have to have that too. We get that, but a lot of companies that are coming to our state are investing in all this capital and this automation, and they have to have the people to operate that. Forget about AI. You got to have that, but you also have to have the people on the floor operating the machines and the computers and all the automation that goes into it. And so we believe, because of all the investments we've made in the state, not just during Governor Lee's time, but certainly prior to that, we believe that we're well positioned, as a state to continue to grow in that capacity.
So real quick, just using the Korea Zinc as an example, Smith County. So they come in, you've got these plants that you're going to reconfigure, use, revitalize, whatever. So then the people in Smith County, they're trained how to do these specific tasks?
Yeah, they'll be. So Korea Zinc, when they announced the project, about 740 or 750 jobs. And it's about, as I understand, it's about 50-50 in terms of the Clarksville employment and Smith County employment. And again, these are
small communities, so that's a ton of jobs.
It's a ton of jobs, and they're good paying jobs. I mean, this is a big deal for Smith County.
Well, yeah, and then you've got all the local businesses and the restaurants, and it filters out from there.
And we don't talk enough about what you just said. We talk about the project, 740 jobs. We talk about the CapEx, but you follow where those dollars go. And they go into the communities. A lot of these companies want to invest in the communities. They want to hire local trades, whether it's construction companies or accounting firms or law firms, any of those. They want to, typically they'll tell you, we want to work locally. We feel there's value in hiring local trades, local companies to help us build what we're building here. And that does have a ripple effect in a community. And that's why I think projects like this are so important, particularly in the rural parts of our state.
There are so many. I pulled up just some of the things that have happened in 2025. Is it Hankook?
Hankook. Yes.
Hankook Tires.
Yes.
You've got the Aluco Group, if I'm saying that
Aluco,
correct.
Yes.
I mean, do you have a favorite of what you've accomplished? I asked this of the Attorney General yesterday.
Yeah.
What was his favorite case that he's presided over as far as the Attorney General? Do you have a favorite? Favorite deal?
I think the ones like Aluco. We just talked. We just announced Aluco last week, and that was in Lauderdale County, in Halls, Tennessee. They went into an old building that was a Tupperware building. It sat vacant for decades. And they chose to go to that building. It fit what they needed, but the community. I mean, that's the highlight of that community. The mayor that's been there for a long time has always wanted to see that building come back to life. To me, those are the most exciting projects, because you see a community come rally together. It's again a lot of jobs, high wage jobs, and opportunities for these rural communities, so people have opportunity right there. They don't have to drive across county border lines to another job.
It can be a lifesaver for these communities.
It absolutely can.
$36.3 million aluminum battery casings plant in Madison County.
Yes,
just talking about that. All right, so what's ahead real quick for 2026? Anything you can talk about?
Well, we're going to really focus on a few things. I think we're going to continue to keep our foot on the gas on nuclear. We believe that's the future. We've got some great opportunities. I think we're going to go into 2026 very busy with announcements first quarter. So that's just we as a state are in a good position there.
Love it.
We're going to get we're going to continue to focus on aerospace and defense. A lot of that's because of where you see Korea Zinc with rare earth minerals. You're going to see the same in aerospace and defense. And we believe we're in a great opportunity in the Southeast. You have, lots of things happening in our state, and certainly just south of us in Huntsville even though that's Huntsville, Alabama, as a state, we will benefit from the activity there.
It does help if we keep it in the southern region.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And there'll be a lot of opportunity for us to collaborate with the state of Alabama, with Huntsville, on projects such as, what's been announced and what we believe is coming. We believe the state's in a great position for pharmaceutical and biotech. Again, a lot of the same lines as you think about what's happening around the world and in the U.S., particularly in antibiotics. We have to have a supply of that, or otherwise we're in a really going to be in a tough
position.
Very vulnerable, tough spot.
Yeah.
And then, automotive is always going to be a focus of our state. You probably saw what's going on in Blue Oval City with Ford. They're making a switch on the product that's coming out of that. But we have over 1,000 automotive suppliers in our state. That's always going to be a strong industry cluster for us in Tennessee. And then I would say the last thing I'd say, Dan, is watch what's going on in Chattanooga and in Oak Ridge with quantum and supercomputing. And there's, what's happened with Chattanooga and their investment in fiber over, many years and maybe decades now. That's a backbone that's very strong, very unique in our state. We're going to look at how that continues to play into both, AI and supercomputing and being competitive globally. We have something that's super special here in our state that we want to make sure that we are able to utilize as an asset to recruit businesses from around the globe.
Love it. Well, congratulations on a great 2025. Good luck in 2026. I know you'll be back with us. Yep. And again, good luck, and keep us posted on everything going on.
Will do. Thank you.
Stuart McWhorter, Deputy Governor and Commissioner of Economic Community Development for the state of Tennessee.